Okay, so good day everyone. For today, we're going to discuss about one of the most important part of strategic management, no? Because financial reporting and accountability in local government are vital components of ensuring transparency, fiscal responsibility, and public trust. No? Local governments and regional administration are tasked with managing public funds efficiently and effectively to meet the needs of their constituents. No? Financial reporting involves the process of compiling and presenting financial information, including revenues, expenditures, assets, and liabilities in a comprehensive and understandable manner. One of the primary objectives of financial reporting in local government, regional administration, is to provide stakeholders, no, including citizens, policymakers, and investors, with accurate and timely information about the entity's financial health and performance. And this information enables stakeholders to make informed decisions, assess the government's financial conditions, and hold elected officials and administration accountable for their stewardship or public funds. Financial reporting in local government typically follows established accounting standards and guidelines, such as the Governmental Accounting Standard Board, actually in the US, no, or in the International Public Sector Accounting Standard globally. So these standards ensure consistency and comparability across different government entities, no, facilitating meaningful analysis and evaluation of financial data. In addition to external reporting requirements, local government, of course, open or have internal mechanism in place to monitor and evaluate financial activities. This may include budgetary controls, internal audits, and performance and management system designed to identify inefficiencies, mitigate risks, and improve financial decision making. And to give us more detail about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, classmates. I am Mina Ling Cabral, and I am your reporter for today, and I will discuss to you the Module 6, Financial Management at the Local Level. So let's have an introduction. What is financial management? So financial management at the local level involves planning, organization, and control of financial resources to achieve the objectives of a local government unit. Local governments, such as municipalities or barangays in the Philippines, are responsible for providing essential public services and infrastructure to their communities. Financial management at the local level is a multifaceted process that encompasses budgeting, revenue generation, fiscal responsibility, and accountability mechanism. So as to budgeting, it involves the setting of clear priorities, allocating resources based on the community needs, and communicating financial information in a way that it is easily understandable to the residents. Revenue generation, it is an essential for sustaining local projects, maintaining infrastructure, and meeting the growing demands of the community. This can include property taxes, local fees, grants, and partnership. As to fiscal responsibility, it is a guiding principle in financial management at the local level, which involves implementing responsible financial practices, adhering to budgetary constraints, and optimizing resource allocation. And accountability mechanism, it is the auditing and accountability that plays a crucial role in overseeing the financial management at the local level. So dito pumapasok yung ating internal and external audits na tinutulungan tayong ma-evaluate ang financial integrity of the local governments. Accountability mechanisms involves transparency in reporting, financial information, community engagement in decision-making, and the oversight by the regulatory bodies. The Internal Revenue Allotment, or IRA, as mandated by the legislation, or the Republic Act 7160, has consistently been the primary source of funding for LGU budgets, accounting for 15 to 18 of the government expenditure from 2004 to 2014 and an average of 2.8% of the GDP. So although the local government unit code grants extensive powers and jurisdiction to create resources, there's still a significant reliance on the internal revenue allotment. And based on the 2014 budget, which accounted for the average of 64% of the local revenues, Local governments generate 36% of their local revenues from their own sources. Within this, around 71% is collected through taxes, mostly real property tax and corporate tax, while the remaining 29% is obtained through fees and charges. So public financial management, or the PFM in the Philippines. So let's discuss the progress and its challenges. As to framework and institutional context, the Philippines has recognized the importance of transparent and trustworthy of PFM systems for allocating and utilizing public resources efficiently. PFM is responsible for overseeing the allocation and utilization of public resources. This system plays a crucial role in facilitating informed decision-making and ensuring the efficient delivery of public goods and services. Currently, the main initiatives being pursued in the field of public financial management involve improving the assessment of important government programs and increasing the transparency and accountability of the budget process. The institutional framework for PFM exhibits fragmentation, with multiple agencies responsible for the implementation and oversight, necessitating meticulous coordination. So the institutional framework for public financial management is characterized by fragmentation. So ibig sabihin, multiple agencies are responsible for implementing and supervising the PFM systems. This the Development Budget Coordinating Committee, or the DBCC, they oversees the technical coordination of the macro fiscal policies. It comprises the Department of Budget and Management, or the DBM, the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, the Department of Finance, or DOF, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, and the Office of the President. Nevertheless, meron pa rin tayong mga constitutional and autonomous entities such as COA and the CSC, or the Civil Service Commission, na nag-ooperate at autonomously when it comes to policies na under ng kanilang competence. So next, political involvement in the budget process requires comprehensive evaluation and endorsement procedures involving both legislative and executive branches. So the political economics that drives the process of budget formulation in the Philippines. So, political involvement in the budget process states that it includes the participation of the both houses of Congress, the executive branch, and the president. And according to the Constitution, the president has the authority to use the significant amount of discretion in redistributing the parts of budget among other branches of the government during the implementation. So yung tinatawag nating National Expenditures Program. So what are the achievements of the public financial management? So the Philippine Public Financial Management Reform Roadmap, or PPFMRR, outlines a comprehensive strategy for PFM reforms focusing on transparency, accountability, and efficiency. In 2011, the government created this PPFMRR 2011 to 2016 in order to further reforms and tackle the dysfunctions and challenges related to public financial management. It includes the comprehensive 5-year action plan that aims to develop a more reliable public financial system with the use of an integrated financial management information system. The reforms are designed to ensure the provision of dependable and precise information to facilitate operational budgeting, cash programming, liability management, prompt financial reporting, and efficient enforcement and financial controls. The reforms have the capacity to enhance the supervision by the Congress and the CSOs, or the civil society organizations. Initiatives like the medium-term expenditure framework, the organizational performance indicator framework, and performance-informed budgeting enhance planning and resource allocation. So the Department of Budget, or the DBM, and the Commission on Audit have developed the standardized budget classification and unified account code structure or yung tinatawag natin na UACS code. This system was implemented in 2014 budget preparation process and is currently utilized for accounting and reporting in 2015. Itong UACS code na ito, it merged the budgeting and accounting classification, allowing for more prompt financial reporting and monitoring. So, sa tulong nitong UACS, so kahit yung magkakaibang ahensya ng gobyerno and the different LGUs, iisang codes lang yung ginagamit nila pagdating sa accounting. So yung monitoring mas nagiging madali. I-identify lang nila yung code and then nakikita na yung nagiging yung priorities ng mga iba't ibang establishmento. So ano ba itong medium-term expenditure framework? So medium-term expenditure framework was introduced in 2007 and offers a results-oriented method for planning process. Each year, the Department of Budget and Management mandates that all national government agencies submit a 3-year forward estimates or yung tinatawag na FES during the annual budget preparation session. These estimates should include the main program and expenditure priorities for the budget year end of the following 2 years. So, ang equivalent po nito sa amin sa DepEd ay yung tinatawag namin na School Improvement Plan or the SIP. It is nakaplano po siya for 3-year implementation, and then bini-breakdown po yun into annual implementation plan, and then yung ating annual budget na sa aming side is the school operating budget. So lahat ng implementation for the year is dapat naka-anchor dun sa 3-year program na isinumite sa DBM. So Organizational Performance Indicator Framework or OPIF is a comprehensive system used to measure and evaluate the performance of an organization. So ito naman yung budgeting methods na sinusukat yung organization, kung nakakonect yung budget sa organizational goals and objectives. So more on nag-a-appear ito sa ating mga work and financial plan kung saan naka-declare kung ano yung goals and objectives, and then yung nakakonekta ba yung budget para dito. It evaluates also the agency performance using the output outcome indicator system in the period of 3 years. So performance-informed budgeting, so eto naman yung naka-base naman sa performance and matrix to inform the decision-making and resource allocation. It encompassing the fund's intended purpose, projected outputs, desired outcomes, and the associated cost of the programs, activities, and projects. So sa performance-informed budgeting naman, so tinitake into consideration din dito yung ano ba naging performance ng isang ahensya ng nakaraang taon. So kung medyo mababa yung spending nila sa isang particular na area, so binabawasan ng allocation yon and idinadagdag doon naman sa mga area na mas nangangailangan. So depende din doon sa ating projected expenditure para mailagay sa tamang allotment ang pondo, kasi mas mahirap na magkaroon tayo ng modification or yung tinatawag natin na MAF. Kasi marami pang dadaanan bago natin ilipat sa ibang pagkakagastusan yung pondo na naka-allocate. So accounting and auditing reforms, including the implementation of Philippine Public Sector Accounting Standards or the PPSAS and the Internal Audit Services or IAS, aim to improve financial reporting and internal controls. So in the Philippines, the responsibility for both auditing and accounting function is entrusted to a Supreme Audit Organization. Siyempre, alam nating lahat yan, known as COA. So the Commission on Audit, their purpose is to maintain the overall financial records of the government. So COA has implemented the directive of establishing accounting standards and regulations as they introduce the new government accounting system or the NGAS, which aim to streamline the government accounting in accordance with the global standards and produce regular and pertinent financial statement. So nire-require nila dito ang bawat government agency na mag-create ng balance sheet, income and expenditure statement, and cash flow statement. And the central offices of the government departments merge these financial statements. So as of now, a total of 25 PPSAS has been aligned with the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, or the IPSAS, and the International Financial Reporting Standards. And it has been adopted by in the implementation of 2014 by the Commission on Audit Resolution number 2014-003. So what are the challenges and areas for improvement in PFM? So capacity constraints, complex procedures, and delays in budget execution remain a significant challenges to effective public financial management. So ito naman yung common na nagiging problema natin, yung kakayahan, and then yung proseso pagdating sa pagsisecure ng pondo is napakaraming dinadaanan, and then yung delay sa budget execution. So yan yung mga nagiging problema pagdating sa implementation ng public financial management. Isa din sa mga nagiging factor nito ay mayroong lack of capacity sa mga spending agency, such as weak abilities in coordinating the policies, managing projects, and dealing with procurement delays. Secondly, there are complicated procedures nga and internal reporting requirements that hinder the execution of the budget. So kapag hindi maagap ang namamahala or yung nasa administrative section, so medyo magkakaroon ng delay. Dapat ay naiipatupad na yung isang programa, pero dahil wala pa yung budget, so nagkakaroon ng delay sa mga transaction ng gobyerno. Fragmentation in the institutional framework and political interference in budget formulation hinder seamless coordination and decision-making. So dahil ang daming ang dinadaan ng proseso, tumatagal yung proseso, and then yung coordination among these institutional framework, nagko-cause din ito ng delay sa implementation. Pero sa ngayon, meron na tayong online reporting, and hindi kagaya dati na talagang masyadong malawak yung dinadaanan ng ating mga budget proposal. So through uniform system, ini-encode na dito using the UX code. So madaling na nakikita ng nasa national level kung ano yung mga projected budget ng isang ahensya. And then coordinated sa mga budget officers na pinipresenta nila yan during the budget proposal. So medyo bumibilis na kahit papaano yung mga nagiging proseso pagdating sa budgeting. Also, further reforms are needed to address deficiencies in areas such as accounting, recording, and reporting, particularly in absence of automation. So pagdating sa audit, so medyo dun tayo medyo nakukulangan pagdating sa automation. Kasi katulad po sa aming ahensya, so ang lahat ng mga financial documents, so matagal bago mag-feedback ang COA kung ano yung findings. Though ngayon nagkakaroon sila ng magandang programa na bago magkaroon ng procurement, nire-require nila ang mga head of procuring entity na i-forward sa kanila lahat ng mga procurement documents prior to the procurement process para ma-check na ng COA yung mga procurement documents. So nalalaman na agad ng katulad namin sa eskwelahan kung align ba sa mga rules and regulations or align ba dun sa aming approved budget yung aming bibilihin. So makikita agad doon, na-notify agad kami kung may dapat ba kaming baguhin. Ito ay bawal sa MOE, ito ay dapat naming i-adjust. So madali naming nalalaman ngayon. So what are the public financial management in the Philippines? So as to economic growth, the Philippines has experienced a significant economic growth with rapid growth rate of 6.1% in 2014, positioning it favorably in the region. So mas maganda yung tinatakbo ng ating ekonomiya. So ito rin siguro yung naging way kaya nakapag-cope up tayo dun sa dumating na pandemya. So resilience to external shocks, overseas remittances play a vital role in the economy. So yung mga remittances ng ating mga OFWs accounting to 10 to 12% of the GDP. Despite of the challenges like unpredictable capital flows, unfavorable external conditions, and natural disasters, the economy remains resilient. And then challenges in poverty alleviation. While there has been a progress in poverty reduction, the poverty rate remains high at 25%. Challenges include vulnerability to external shocks, bureaucratic hurdles, and inflexible labor laws, hindering job creation. So ito yung medyo talaga nagiging problema natin hanggang sa ngayon. And then fiscal sustainability concerns, the government has expressed concern about fiscal sustainability with historically stringent fiscal stances limiting public fund allocation. Efforts to reduce debt has been successful but further revenue enhancement is needed. So, kung kung maganda yung ating collection or yung ating revenue collection, so nakakabayad tayo ng utang and then nababawasan yung ating yung utang ng bansa kasi nasusustentuhan ng ating revenue collection yung mga pangangailangan for public service delivery. And then positive fiscal forecast, the fiscal forecast for 2015 or to 2017 is positive with the government aiming for an annual budget deficit of around 2%. Expenditures are expected to increase, supported by revenue growth and efforts to enhance revenue collection and expenditure policy. So, positive naman yung mga nagiging fiscal forecast natin sa mga susunod na taon. So, let's move to public procurement. So, Public Procurement Reform Act or RA 9184 was enacted in 2003 to implement procurement reforms aimed at modernizing, standardizing, and regulating all the government procurement activities. The purpose of the Act is to guarantee the effectiveness, clarity, competitiveness, and responsibility of the government procurement procedures. The Act established the Government Procurement Policy Board, which is responsible for overseeing and regulating all aspects of procurement. It also includes provision for creation of standard bidding documents and procurement manuals. So public procurement, so itong RA 9184, so ito yung guiding principle natin pagdating sa procurement. So usually, paano ba ang nagiging procurement process pagdating sa gobyerno? Siyempre, standardized na to, no? Sa amin sa DepEd, una muna based on our approved budget, titingnan natin kung meron bang pondo for the specific project and then kung meron naman at siya ay align sa auditing rules and regulations, magpa-formulate tayo ng purchase request. And then the purchase request is accomplished by the supply officer or the property custodian and then ipepresenta yan sa head of procuring entity. So the head of procuring entity, siya yung magdi-decide, i-review niya yan, meron ba tayong budget para dito? Align ba ito sa ating work and financial plan? Align ba sa goals and objectives for the year? And then kapag walang nakitang problema ang head of procuring entity, aaprubahan niya yan and then upon approval, i-endorse na yan sa Bids and Awards Committee ng isang ahensya kung saan sila na yung magpapatakbo noong mga for the request for quotations. And then kapag yan ay meron ng quotations from the competitive bidding process, so magagawa na yung mga yan ng back resolution, ipepresenta ulit sa head of procuring entity, and then magkakaroon na ng formulation ng purchase order, and then mangyayari na yung procurement. So mamimili na, and then after ma-deliver yung goods, magkakaroon pa yan ng inspection and acceptance, and then dapat ay lahat ay kumpleto and in good conditions. So pagdating sa public procurement, hindi mawawala dyan ang Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System o yung tinatawag nating PhilGEPS. So it is an online platform that compiles order requests for expression of interest, quotations, and bids. The PhilGEPS is now undergoing enhancements to establish a connection with the GIF-MIS system, enabling the monitoring of budget allocation and spending. And the technology guarantees the automatic recording of transactions, thereby ensuring transparency and integrity of the transaction. So, PhilJeps, siya is nabuo noong July 2009. Ito yung standardized procurement regulation na ini-implement. So, so ito yung way ng DBM na para mas ma-monitor natin saka magkaroon ng transparency. Dito kasi sa PhilJeps, ipinopost natin yung opportunity. So, I'm not sure kung yung sa ibang ahensya is ganun din kasi sa amin, pagpatak ng threshold na 50,000, na-required talaga na i-post sa PhilJeps. So, or otherwise, kung hindi ma-post sa PhilJeps yung government procurement worth 50,000 and up, is yan po is nagiging findings ng COA. So, nagiging AOM po yan. So, kadalasan na nangyayari po is ipinare-refund yung pondo kasi hindi po official or hindi po tama yung naging transaction. So, ang nangyayari, si head procuring entity ang nag-shoulder kasi hindi niya pinost sa PhilJeps. Minsan, ang ginagawa po ng mga ahensya dahil ayaw nilang ipadaan sa PhilJeps, which is minsan di po namin maintindihan kung bakit ayaw nilang gamitin yung sistema na ito, is ginagawa po nila is ano nga yung third doon? Parang hinahati-hati po nila yung pondo para po hindi umabot sa threshold na 50,000. So, hindi sila ire-require. Pero nakikita pa rin po yun ng COA. Lalo na po kung katulad po na nabanggit ko kanina, iisang UX code lang po yung papasukan nung lahat ng kanilang mga pre-procure. So, kahit hindi po threshold 50,000 is allowed po na i-post sa PhilJeps. So, ano yung magandang naiitulong po ng PhilJeps? Based on experience, malaki po talaga ang nasisave kapag ang isang programa or ang isang procurement activity is pinadaan through PhilJeps. So pag po kasi pinost dyan, halimbawa po, ang pondo ng isang ahensya is worth 100,000 and then nakalagay na po dyan by lot lahat ng mga kakailanganin, wala po dyang nagbibid ng lagi pong mas mababa dun sa approved budget na posted sa PhilJeps. If ang approved budget po na nasa PhilJeps is 100,000, lahat po ng quotation na ipinapadala ng mga bidders or mga nag-i-intent to join the bidding is lower than the approved budget. So nagkakaroon po ng savings ang ahensya kung saan pwedeng gamitin sa iba pang pangangailangan ng isang opisina. So, budgeting and revenue collection. So, budgeting and revenue collection are integral components of financial management at the local level, playing a crucial role in planning, execution, and sustainability of public services and projects. So, what is the budgeting and revenue collection in local government and budget and regional administration? So, budgeting is a fundamental process in local government and regional administration that involves planning and allocating financial resources for the delivery of public services and the implementation of projects. The key aspects of budgeting includes estimating revenue, categorizing expenditures, and creating a financial roadmap for the fiscal year. So, sa budgeting, dito tayo nagpaplano kung ano yung mga pagkakagastusan. So, estimate natin magkano ba yung magiging revenue, magkano yung budget, and then kapag na-identify na natin yung budget for the year, i-allocate na natin ito sa mga iba't ibang expenditures and programs ng ahensya, and then magke-create na tayo ng financial roadmap for the fiscal year, yung plano ng procurement plan, annual procurement plan. Next is the revenue collection. It is a critical component of the local government finance and regional administration, serving as the means to fund proposed budgets and sustain ongoing projects and services. Local government and regional administrations employ various revenue sources including taxes, fees, fines, grants, and partnerships. So, syempre, ito yung bloodline ng LGU at ng ating gobyerno. So, revenue collection, majority kinukuha natin from taxes. So, ito yung nagiging pondo ng gobyerno. Balancing budget and revenue. So, achieving a balance between the budgets and revenue is essential for maintaining fiscal responsibility, avoiding deficits, and ensuring sustainability of financial operations. Siyempre, kung pag tayo ay nagbabudgeting, lagi nating i-consider muna yung ating revenue. Kaya ba? Baka kasi yung ating mga expenditures is masyadong mataas kumpara sa kung magkano lang yung kakayanan ng ating budget. So next is transparency and accountability. Local governments and regional administrations should communicate financial plans, revenue sources, and expenditure detail transparency to the public. Both internal and external auditing mechanism play a vital role in ensuring the accuracy of financial records and compliance with regulation. As to transparency, so dito yung sa community engagement during kahit sa planning process pa lang is kaisa na sila. So na-communicate yung ating mga financial plans, yung magkano yung ating resources. So dapat yan ay well presented sa general public for transparency and as to accountability. So dito naman pumapasok yung internal and external auditing. So next is adaptability and long-term planning. Financial management and local government and regional administration requires adaptability to changing circumstances and a focus on long-term planning. These entities must be responsive to economic fluctuations, unforeseen events, and evolving community needs. So, dapat yung plano natin is naka-anchor syempre sa resilience na kaya nating mag-adapt sa mga unforeseen events, yung mga fortuitous events na dumadating. So, kagaya nung sa nangyari sa atin sa COVID-19. So, transparent budgeting in processes in local government and regional administration. Transparent budgeting process are integral to fostering accountability, public trust, and effective financial management in local government and regional administrations. At the core of transparency is active community engagement involving residents in the budgeting process to ensure their needs and priorities are considered. So kagaya ng mga ating mga nakaraang discussion, so talagang kailangan ng active community engagement kasi nagpo-promote ito ng transparency and accountability sa paghawak ng mga budget ng gobyerno. So accessibility in the information, clarity and understandability in the budget documentation, and detailed expenditure programs, ito yung mga kailangan para magkaroon ng transparent budgeting processes. So paano yung here are the key aspects naman of transparent budgeting processes as to local government and regional administration. So community engagement. Engaging the community ensures that their needs and priorities are considered in the budget, promoting inclusivity and responsiveness to local concerns. So community engagement, gaya ng sabi ko po kanina, sa planning process pa lang, andun na dapat kaisa ang komunidad. Kasi sila yung mas nakakaalam kung ano yung kanilang mga pangangailangan para mas mabigyan ng prioridad sa pag-allocate ng budget. Then accessibility to information, publishing of budget proposals, financial reports, and other relevant documents on official websites, community notice boards, and through other communication channels. So, dapat accessible yung ating mga financial information. So, pwede nila itong i-post through websites. Kung merong mga, katulad sa amin sa school, lahat ng mga financial documents is nakapost sa transparency board kung saan mas madaling nakikita ng mga tao na pumapasok sa paaralan. So, nakikita nila na may pondo para sa mga specific programs. Next is clarity in budget documentation. Clarity in communication ensures that residents, regardless of their financial expertise, can grasp the budgetary details, promoting a more informed citizenry. So pagdating do sa budget documentation, though, pagdating sa accounting and finance, meron tayong mga specific terms. Pero yung mga ipinopost natin dito sa mga local areas, kailangan is gagamitin natin yung terms na mas mauunawaan ng karamihan, lalo na sa ating mga mamamayan na hindi naman ganun kataas ang pinag-aralan or hindi sila familiar dun sa mga common terms ng accounting. So, ang kailangan is magkaroon ng clarity or i-rephrase natin sa mas mauunawaan ng mga mamamayan. So, maaari din itong isalin sa mga different dialects para mas lahat is makaunawa kung ano ba yung nilalaman ng budget document. So, next is detailed expenditure breakdown. Local governments and regional administration should provide a clear outline of how funds are allocated across the different sectors and projects. So, sa amin po, ang example namin na SOB, so doon po talaga naka-breakdown kung anong supplies ang bibilhin. Nakalagay din kung ilan yung quantity. So, In this case, mas madaling i-check kung nasunod ba yung plano. Mas nakikita kung papaano ma-allocate yung fund, kung specific yung nakalagay natin or naka-breakdown na lahat ng pagkakagastusan ng gobyerno. So next is open budget meetings. Transparent budgeting processes often include public consultations and open forums where residents can express their opinions and concerns regarding the budget. So open budget meetings, pwede itong isagawa through town hall meetings, online forums kung saan lahat ay magiging kaisa pagdating sa usapin ng budget. So magpo-promote din ito ng transparency kasi kung lahat ay kaisa, pag nalaman nila sa planning pa lang na may budget para dito, susundan na yan kung ito ba ay naisagawa, natupad ba yung mga nasa plano. So next is performance measurement and reporting. Regularly reporting on the progress and outcomes of the project services funded by the budget, including updates on key performance indicators, milestones achieved, and any deviations from the planned budget. So ito, importante ito. Hindi natatapos sa planning. So kung nakapagplano, okay, may allocated budget tayo para sa specific program na to. So importante na naipatupad ba ito? So, doon nalalabas yung reporting. Nasunod ba ito? Ito bang programang ito ay naisakatuparan? Nasaan na? Anong status na? Successful ba siya? Nagkaroon ba ng pagbabago dun sa pondo na inallocate sa kanya? Nagkaroon ba ng kaunting twist dun sa approved plan? So, importante na magkaroon tayo ng measurement and reporting. So next is independent audits. Independent audits verify the accuracy and legality of the financial transactions and assess compliance with accounting standards and regulations, providing an unbiased evaluation of financial management. So dito napapasok si COA. Ano po? So ino-audit niyan lahat ng mga transactions ng gobyerno kung ito ba ay naaayon sa rules and regulations. So effective revenue generation for local projects in local government and regional administration. So here are the key strategies. So kung paano tayo makakapag-generate ng revenue since yung buhay talaga ng gobyerno is nasa revenue collection. So first is diversification of revenue sources. So local governments should diversify their revenue sources to reduce dependency on a single channel. This involves exploring various avenues such as property taxes, business taxes, local fees and charges, grants, partnerships, and other innovative financing mechanism. Diversified revenue helps mitigate the risk associated with economic fluctuation and changes in specific sectors. So, fair and equitable taxation. Implementing a fair and equitable taxation policies ensures that the tax burden is distributed proportionally among the residents and businesses. Local governments should regularly review and update tax structures to reflect changes in the local economy to ensure that taxation aligns with the ability to pay. So, syempre, importante ito kasi hindi naman pwede collect lang tayo ng collect. Kasi dito lalong humihirap yung mga may hirap kung lalong patataasin ng patataasin yung ating taxes. So, merong mga specific areas lang through the comprehensive review kung ito ba ay dapat taasan ng taxes. So, kasamahan dyan yung sa mga mining companies, sa mga cigarettes. So, yan, medyo tinaasan nila yung tax para dyan. So next is local economic development initiatives. Promoting local economic development contributes an increased revenue generation. So by supporting the businesses, attracting investments, and facilitating entrepreneurship, stimulates economic activity, leading to a higher tax revenues. Siyempre, kung makakapag-invite tayo ng mga investors, lataas yung ating collection ng taxes from them. And local governments can create a conducive environment for businesses through streamlined regulatory processes and infrastructure development. So anong pwedeng gawin ng local governments dito is paigsiin natin yung proseso ng pag-a-apply para sa mga businesses. Kasi pag dami ng mga businesses natin, tataas yung ating tax collection from them. Next is efficient collection and enforcement. So through efficient revenue collection mechanism, we can maximize the revenue generation. The local government should invest in modernized and technology-driven collection systems to streamline processes and reduce the likelihood of revenue leakage. Additionally, effective enforcement of tax compliance measures ensures that businesses and residents fulfill their financial obligations. So, efficient collection and enforcement. So, pagdating sa pagbabayad natin ng taxes, so meron namang mga options ngayon. So, pwede na magbayad through GCash yung mga mas madali para sa mga mamamayan na hindi na nila kailangan pumila ng mahaba at pumunta sa mga bank at sa BIR just to pay their taxes. So, mas mapapadali yung ating collection at mas mapapabilis yung monitoring kung nakapagbayad ba sila ng kanilang mga taxes. Next is user fees and charges. So, syempre dito dapat i-implement natin is a reasonable naman pagdating sa fees and charges for specific services. And it can also an avenue for an effective revenue source. Local governments can assess fees for services such as waste disposal, building permits, and recreational facilities. The pricing should strike a balance between the covering cost and ensuring accessibility for the resident. So, meron tayong yung mga binabayaran natin na mga fees and charges. So, isa din ito sa nakakatulong para magkaroon ng revenue ang gobyerno. So next is the public-private partnership. So engaging in public-private partnerships allows local governments to leverage private sector expertise and resources for local projects. This partnership can take various forms including joint ventures, concessions, and service contracts. It can be beneficial for large infrastructure projects that require substantial investment. So nakakatipid tayo pagdating sa public and private partnership. So next is grant and external funding. Seeking grants and external funding from higher government levels, international organizations, and donor agencies can provide additional financial support for the local project. So local government should actively explore the opportunities for grants that aligns with the development priorities. So ito yung mga natatanggap nating financial aid or support na galing sa mga ibang agencies or yung mga higher government levels or minsan nanggagaling sa mga international institutions and organizations. So nakakatulong din to in generating revenue. So next is tourism and cultural initiatives. So by promoting tourism and cultural initiatives, it can contribute to a revenue generation. So kaya ang ating Department of Tourism, so talagang yung kanilang campaign is pinapahigpit nila kasi kilala na ang Pilipinas pagdating sa mga dayuhin ng mga foreigners. So dito nakakapag-generate tayo ng revenue kasi pagdagsa ng mga bisita natin sa bansa. So magiging active yung mga businesses. So makaka-earn tayo ng magandang revenue pagdating dito sa tourism and cultural initiatives. So next is sustainable revenue planning. So developing a sustainable revenue planning strategy, it involves considering a short-term and long-term financial goals. It should be aligned with the revenue generation efforts and with an overall development plans taking into account the population growth, economic trends, and changing community needs. So pag maganda yung planning natin, maganda yung pagpaplano, mas na-allocate natin or mas napaprioritize natin kung ano yung mga kailangan. So walang nasasayang na fund. Next is public awareness and education. Educating the public about the importance of taxes and fees as well as the direct link between the revenue generation and community development, it also fosters a sense of civic responsibility. So kung aware ang public at well-educated sila kung para saan ba itong mga taxes and fees and nakikita nila kung saan napupunta, so magiging maganda yung hindi sila mag-hesitate na magbayad ng kanilang taxes kasi nakikita nila kung saan napupunta yung ibinabayad nila sa gobyerno. So effective revenue generation for by implementing these strategies, the local governments and regional administration can secure the necessary funds to enhance the quality of life of the communities. So fiscal responsibility. So fiscal responsibility in the context of local government and regional administration in the Philippines refers to the prudent and accountable management of public finances to achieve sustainable and effective governance. It involves the responsible use of financial resources, adherence to the budgetary principles, ensuring that fiscal policies align with a broader economic and development objectives. So what is the fiscal responsibility in local government and regional administration in the Philippines? So fiscal responsibility in local government and regional administration is a multifaceted concept encompassing prudent financial management, accountability, and sustainability. At its core, financial responsibility involves the consensus stewardship of public funds to achieve economic stability, efficient service delivery, and long-term community development. So here are the key aspects of fiscal responsibility in the Philippines. So first is the budgetary discipline. So fiscal responsibility entails maintaining budgetary discipline where the local governments and regional administrations adhere to the approved budgets and avoid unnecessary expenditure. So kung ano lang yung nandun sa approved na budget, so dun lang iikot ang expenditure ng gobyerno at hindi na nagkakaroon ng mga unnecessary expenditure kung saan hindi na siya aligned dun sa objective for that year and then nagli-lead siya sa inefficient expenditure of the budget. So next is debt management. So local government must manage debt prudently to avoid excessive borrowing that could lead to financial instability. So fiscal responsibility involves ensuring that the debt levels are sustainable and the debt proceeds are invested in projects that generate a long-term benefits for the community. So pagdating naman sa usapin ng utang, so kailangan is nandun lang sa level na kaya naman ng bansa. At syempre kung yung inutang na pondo is dapat nagamit siya or na-invest sa mga project na mag-generate naman ng long-term benefits at hindi yung mga saglitan lang na benefits para sa mga komunidad. So next is transparency and accountability. So transparent financial practices are the central of the fiscal responsibility. So the local governments and regional administration should provide a clear and accessible information about their financial activity. So pwede ditong example is mag-publish ng budget documents, yung kanilang mga financial reports, yung mga audit findings. So lahat yan is ginagawang available para sa public for their transparency and accountability. As to accountability naman, so pumapasok yung internal and external audits. So next is revenue mobilization and resource optimization. So fiscal responsibility also involves actively mobilizing the revenue through fair and efficient taxation, fees, and other revenue streams. Local government in the Philippines should explore innovative revenue sources and optimize the utilization of the available resources. So, pwede silang mag-explore ng mga opportunities for local economic development, mag-attract ng mga investments sa mga businesses, and mag-promote ng sustainable revenue generation to support naman yung mga projects and services. So next is adherence to fiscal laws and regulations. So syempre dapat nag-a-adhere sa fiscal laws and regulations para ma-maintain natin yung fiscal responsibility. Dapat tayo ay nagko-comply with the national budgetary guidelines, financial management laws, at yung mga reporting requirements na inire-require sa isang ahensya. So kung adherence dito sa mga regulatory framework na ito, magkakaroon tayo ng stable fiscal environment at masisigurado natin na yung financial decision ay aligned with the legal parameters. So next and last is proactive risk management. So fiscal responsibility includes proactive risk management to identify and mitigate potential financial risk. So pwedeng magsagawa ang local government ng mga risk assessments para ma-anticipate nila yung mga challenges. So kasama na dyan yung mga economic downturns, yung mga natural disasters, mga unforeseen circumstances na makakaepekto sa ating financial position. So by upholding the aforementioned principles, local authorities can contribute to sustainable development, effective governance, and the overall well-being of the communities. So the key components for responsible financial management in the context of local governance. So first is strategic budgeting. So it allows for efficient allocation of resources and meet the community needs while ensuring a fiscal discipline. So kagaya nung pinaliwanag ko kanina, so dapat ay tama yung pagpaplano at kung ano talaga yung pangangailangan ng komunidad. So efficient revenue collection, it is a fundamental for responsible financial management. So kailangan mag-implement ng technology-driven revenue collection to streamline the processes and reduce the risk of revenue leakage. So dapat ay fair and transparent pagdating sa ating mga taxation policies. So next is prudent spending and cost control. So responsible financial management, nire-require nito na magkaroon ng careful evaluation sa expenditures, i-prioritize yung mga essential services, and avoid unnecessary costs. By implementing these cost controls, such as regular financial reviews and performance assessments, matutulungan tayo na ma-prevent yung mga budgetary overruns at makapag-contribute sa overall financial health ng isang administration. Next is debt management and fiscal sustainability. So yung pagmamanage natin ng utang is mahalaga ding factor sa financial sustainability. Kasi kung sa pataas ang utang and then yun namang inutang na pondo is hindi na pupunta para sa sustainability or sa mga project na mas makakatulong in the long term, so hindi siya makakatulong para magkaroon tayo ng stable financial management. So next is transparency and accountability. So syempre, kung meron tayong transparency and accountability pagdating sa ating mga financial management, mas makikita ng general public na pwede nilang pagkatiwalaan ng gobyerno. So kasama dyan yung pagkakaroon ng comprehensive budget documents, financial reports, and yun nga pong mga audit findings na ginagawa nating available para sa general public. Next is regular audits and internal control. So by conducting naman ng regular internal and external audits is also responsible for financial management. So internal controls, makikita agad yung mga financial mismanagement at mape-prevent yung mga fraud. So external audits naman, sila yung nagpo-provide ng independent assessment as to practices at kung siya ay nagko-comply sa regulations at ini-highlight nila yung mga areas for improvement. Next is risk management. Risk management is also an integral part of responsible financial management kung saan is ina-identify and ina-assess yung mga financial risk. So yung mga uncertainties as to economic status. So, pag na-identify agad natin yun, makakapag-develop ng strategies para ma-mitigate itong mga na-identified na risk na ito. Next is long-term financial planning. So, responsible financial management, syempre, nag-involve yan ng long-term financial planning. So, dapat i-develop natin yung mga financial plans na nag-a-align sa vision and development goals. So, planning for future infrastructure needs, economic changes, and economic growth that ensures the administration is well prepared to meet the evolving challenges and opportunities. So next is auditing and accountability mechanism. So auditing and accountability mechanism play a pivotal role in ensuring the transparent and responsible management of public funds within the local government and regional administration. So dito pumapasok yung internal audits. So ano bang ginagawa ng internal audits? So internal audits conducted by the internal auditors assess the financial practices and internal controls promoting operational efficiency and fiscal disciplines. So internal audit, sila yung nagpo-provide ng insights into efficiency ng operation, ina-identify nila yung mga areas for improvement and contribute to maintain fiscal discipline within the administration. So yung iba takot na takot kapag na-finding sila ng COA. So sa pamamagitan nito, mas nakikita natin saan ba may mali sa proseso. So mai-streamline natin sa sunod, maiitama. And then mas maganda din itong control para kung meron man tayong mga humahawak ng funds na medyo hindi trustworthy or ano, mas madali siyang makikita. And then natatakot talaga sila pag naka-receive na sila ng memorandum from the COA. So sa ganung paraan, nababawasan yung mga fraud and mismanagement ng mga finances. So next is external audits. It is carried out by the independent firms or government agencies that provide an external perspective on financial health, ensuring accuracy and compliance with regulation. So external audits, sila yung mga nag-e-ensure ng transparency and accountability at sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng objective assessment dun sa financial health and compliance ng administration. So, bine-verify nila yung mga financial records, kung ito ba'y accurate, yung expenditures ay align sa budget, and yung resources ay nagagamit ng maayos. So the result of external audits are typically disclosed to the public, fostering transparency and allowing citizens to hold their local government accountable. So kasama dito sa ating external audits, pumapasok din dito si COA. So sa internal audits, nakalimutan ko lang banggitin, pumapasok din dito yung ating mga agency bookkeepers. Katulad sa amin, yung mga senior bookkeepers na mga paaralan, sila yung nag-a-act as internal audit kasi lahat ng mga financial documents is sa kanila muna dumadaan bago yan ipasa sa COA. So sa kanilang level pa lang, may makikita na agad sila na ikino-coordinate nila sa mga specific person bago ito idiretso sa COA. So dun pa lang sa level nila, so sa internal is nagkakaroon na ng control. So kapag lumabas pa rin na may findings sa COA, so dun na nagkakaroon ng problema. So next is performance audits. So it evaluates the program effectiveness and resource utilization, contributing to accountability by directing funds toward the beneficial initiatives. So these audits focus on whether the administration is achieving its objectives, utilizing resources optimally, and delivering the quality of services to community. Performance audits contribute to accountability by ensuring that the public funds are invested in initiatives that provide tangible benefits to the residents. So makikita na dito yung sa feedback kung nag-perform ba ng maayos. So naging yung purpose ba ng pondo is natupad. Depende sa kung ano yung naging feedback ng general public. So paano nag-perform yung isang programa. Next is citizen participation and oversight. Local governments can engage citizens in the oversight process through public consultations, town hall meetings, and community forums. So this involvement not only enhances the transparency, but it also empowers the citizen to actively contribute to decision-making processes and hold their elected officials accountable for management of public funds. So iba talaga kapag ang mamamayan na yung nag-act as an audit entity, kasi sila kasi yung sineserbisyuhan. So mas nakikita nila or mas namomonitor nila kung naibigay ba ng tama yung nandun sa programa inilatag sa kanila dun sa plano na may allocated budget para dito, natupad ba or natanggap ba namin or nakatulong ba sa amin yung ipinatupad na programa. So accountability mechanism, it extend beyond the formal audits at eto nga yung citizen participation is napakalaki ng role na ginagampanan pagdating sa auditing as to accountability and transparency ng financial management. Next and last is the legal and regulatory compliance. It is a foundational aspect of auditing and accountability, wherein the local governments must adhere to established legal frameworks governing the financial management and reporting. So by ensuring the compliance with relative laws and regulation, it is critical in auditing and accountability. So compliance check, both internal and external, they verify the administration if it follows the prescribed procedures and thereby upholding the rule of law and reinforcing accountability. So, syempre, meron tayong mga batas at meron tayong mga regulatory guidelines na kailangang i-comply. So, kung nagko-comply tayo dito, magkakaroon ng accountability ang isang namumuno or ang isang humahawak ng pondo. So through efficient reporting and financial documents na well submitted sa mga concerned agencies. So to sum up, auditing and accountability mechanisms in local government and regional administration encompass internal and external audits, performance audits, citizen participation and adherence to legal and regulatory frameworks, and this mechanism work in concert to promote transparency, identify areas for improvement, and ultimately ensure that the public funds are managed responsibly for the benefit of the community. So that's all for my report. Thank you for listening, and let me end my presentation with a few quotations from Kofi Annan. He said, if corruption is a disease, transparency is a central part of treatment. And according to Ralph Waldo Emerson, money is of no value. It cannot spend itself. It all depends on the skill of the depender. So thank you very much, classmates, and I hope that you learned a lot today. Thank you.
So thank you so much, presenter. Okay. Uh, Accountability is a fundamental principle underlying, of course, financial reporting. No. So our elected officials and public administrators are accountable to taxpayers and other stakeholders for the management and stewardship for public sources. No, transparent and accurate financial reporting fosters accountability by providing stakeholders with visibility into how funds are raised, allocated, and spent. So financial reporting serve as a tool for promoting good governance and preventing fraud and corruption in local government. So by disclosing financial information publicly and subjecting into external scrutiny, governments can deter fraudulent activities and ensure that resources are used for their intended purpose. Again, effective financial reporting and accountability mechanism, as our presenter mentioned, is contribute to the overall financial sustainability and stability of local governments. By promoting transparency, accountability, and sound financial management practices, this mechanism helps build trust and confidence among stakeholders, which is essential for long-term success and the viability of government entities. Again, financial reporting and accountability plays a vital role in local government. By providing stakeholders with transparent and reliable information about the entity's financial performance and ensuring that public resources are managed responsibly in the best interest of the communities. So I think that's it for this topic.